Yeah. Connor, count us down.
Coming down in 3, 2, 1.
What? Oh, okay. All right. It's a lot of nostalgia here. We are joined by a very special guest, former co-host, still good buddy, someone that's just killing it lately in general. Connor O'Gara, how are you, man?
I'm doing all right. I appreciate the kind words. Killing it is for a father with a young child at home is not something that I say about my life. I take it day by day. And if I just get through the day feeling like I'm not a total wreck, then it's a win. Everything is pass fail at this point.
I don't even know if I want a baby in 8 months. I mean, that's awesome.
I'm repping, by the way. I'm repping the little Michael Scott. So Michael Gary.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, man. I bet just like killing it. I mainly meant the vibes on Pat McAfee and Michael Penix Jr. comments. But that's it. That's all. I'm kidding.
Desmond Howard was the one that really kind of set me off. I was like, what are we doing here? The guy's been in college forever. His name is not Penix. It's Penix. All right. Like if you're going to get the entire crowd chanting or whatever, and if he's going to be the Heisman Trophy favorite, it's the same issue that I had with Devontae Smith a few years ago. If the guy's going to win a Heisman Trophy, let's say his freaking name right. Is it that hard to be able to say Devontae instead of Devonta? But people continue to say Devonta, not just you.
I was going to say, I didn't even know if you recognize that I did it because I still do it.
It's the Devonta Freeman thing. And I even think his was Devontae Freeman, but we just went with Devonta because that's the way that it's spelled. I digress. It's obviously a stupid hill to die on.
No, it's actually perfect because I'll spoil this for now just to tell everyone how well Connor and I know each other. In 2-minute drill later, the third question I've written down is, whose name is harder to pronounce, Michael Penix or Mark D'Antonio?
You're just confusing D'Antoni and D'Antonio.
Exactly.
D'Antonio is easy. If Mike D'Antoni had never come along, no one would ever stop to say Mark D'Antonio, who currently lives in Tampa. He takes in a lot of USF practices. He's boys with Alex Golesh because Alex Golesh was on the Ohio State staff back in the day. They live in the same neighborhood. He and Tressel, they all live in the same neighborhood, and they pop into USF practices. Yeah, there's a fun fact you didn't think you were getting today.
Not at all. Almost didn't want to have it when you started telling me about it. No, we'll talk a lot more about Jim Tressel later, but we're doing a midseason review, and it is, we're the halfway point, which sucks. I was typing out on our pod thing for later, week 8 preview, and I got sick to my stomach because it's just, I know it's been an awesome season too. There's been so many good weeks back to back to back, and we'll talk about all of it. But so just right off the bat, 2023. I think it's been better than any recent college football season from week in and week out than I've seen in a while. Best moments, favorite moments so far from the season.
I think Washington, what it was able to do against Oregon last week, I thought that was a cool moment to see the build up, to see that game play out the way that they did, the way that it did, where it was one of those games where you just truly didn't feel like you knew who was going to win. I thought that was really fun.
Yeah.
I think we haven't seen the crazy upsets yet where a top 5 team is going down to an unranked team. That's why when people say it's 2007, we talked about this, I don't think it's 2007, but the good news is that the way that things have set up, and this will probably change in 2 weeks, this late into the season, every Power 5 conference feels like, oh, we're destined to make the playoff.
Right.
Everybody's going to make the playoff. Somebody's getting left out. Somebody's going to be running around those chairs. You don't run in musical chairs, but you walk fast. And somebody is going to be like, oh, crap. I don't have a seat. What am I going to do? And I don't know who that's going to be just yet. And I think that's kind of more so where the excitement lies. Not so much that we've had these crazy upsets or totally unpredictable things. But yeah, there are a lot of things you could bring up that I think have been really cool stories so far in the way that this season's played out.
I think, it's also been really cool is that I feel like a lot of times, especially when you get this so much buildup, right? So much, this is the game of the century, this game 1 versus 2 or what, whatever. It feels like every game for the most part has really lived up to the hype. Ohio State and Notre Dame was kind of a snooze fest for a couple of quarters, but what an ending. Bama, Texas was really good. Like you said, Washington and Oregon, that part has been really, really fun. And I think that I don't know a season where I've seen this many big time games each week, and they all kind of live up to the hype. I mean, even A&M in Tennessee last week, you actually summed it up best. Like that was like one of the best Big Ten games I've ever watched. Like it was awesome, like from start to finish.
I actually said that about the Washington Oregon game that ended at the same time, but it applies to both. Whatever. Let's just say that I said it for that one too.
I'll try to give you too much credit. No, I think you're right though. So like this wasn't actually in the notes, but you brought up the playoff. I thought about this the other day, and I don't think it's crazy, but like the SEC, right? If you're looking at like which conference has like the I don't want to say the worst chance to get in because it's the SEC, and we've never seen them not make the playoff and haven't been to I think it's been 17 or 18 years since we've seen like a postseason national championship or playoff without the SEC. So like obviously the resume is there, but if you're looking at the resumes from this season, I think like right now you would have to venture to say the SEC has the worst chance of getting in.
I don't know if I'd go there yet. I think I'd still probably say the Big 12 has the worst because, and I understand the Texas-Alabama thing would probably make that sound like an SEC homer take, but 16 of the last 17 years, the SEC champ has made it to the national championship. Right. I mean, that's something that is hard to ignore, that when it gets late in the season, like the games feel important. And while the SEC didn't necessarily help itself out in non-conference play, I still think it'll probably be in position to have its champ in the playoff. Now, who knows what that looks like if all of a sudden we're talking about a 2-loss West team, if all of these teams that are at the top right now stay undefeated. And it's like, oh man, there are 3 Power 5 undefeateds going into conference championship weekend. Obviously, that changes things. But if I'm betting today, I'm still betting on the SEC to be able to have a team in the college football playoff. And probably the Big 12 would find a way out of it. In the ACC, like I love what Florida State's done. That's probably a moment I should have brought up. What they did that week 1 game against LSU, a game that I was at, was pretty incredible to see them kind of buy into everything off season that was said about like what they were capable of.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, the ACC probably doesn't quite have that lock it in path just yet. Because maybe if FSU is a little bit vulnerable on the defensive end, that could probably come back to bite them. But yeah, man, it's good that it feels like it's all over the place because the sport needs to be more national. I think that's kind of the thing that non-Southeastern fan of college football, and I include the ACC in that, would probably say is good about the way that this year has played out.
Yeah, it cracks me up because like you'll see like on social media and Twitter and stuff like that, like so many people you could tell were introduced to Pac-12 After Dark for the first time this year, and just was like just a whole different world. But I think you're right. I think it has been really good for the sport. It's been really fun. I think like what I more so meant was that like if season ended today and you have all these undefeated teams, because if like some really seemingly I don't want to say elite, but really really good teams, and like you said, a bunch of undefeateds in every single conference. Georgia's ranked number 1, but I think they probably have the worst resume besides maybe Michigan to get in. So, but you're right. At the same time, like I think LSU still has a chance to get in because if they run the table, they're going to keep winning games. They'd have to beat Bama. They'd have to beat Georgia. I just don't see the SEC being kept out of it necessarily.
The issue is the roadblock that FSU would possibly present if FSU was vying for that 4th seed with 1 loss. You can't put LSU in over FSU in that spot. Yeah, I wouldn't rule it out just yet because I do think that what they're doing offensively, it's a championship level offense. It's been so fun to watch what Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, Logan Diggs, those guys have done. But that defense isn't good enough to probably get by undefeated. Like it's just not, unless they start to really figure some things out. And I'm not going to look too far into a 2-game stretch against Auburn and Army with what they do, throwing the forward pass, making it look like it's 1923. Army runs a new offense. It's a gun option. So like, take that for what it is. Army actually had a better passing offense last week than Auburn. Like coming into that game, slightly better by like 0.4 yards. Yeah. So I mean, don't sleep on the Black Knights, but yeah, I'm not gonna jump to conclusions if LSU puts the clamps on them.
I'm glad somebody finally said something about that because like I know that 90% of the people that are gonna tune into that game are going to be like, what in the hell? Where's the triple option? What is happening right now? All right, last question about the SEC before we move on. The SEC is the blank best conference in Power 5 football.
Tied for second with everybody else.
Okay, that's fair.
The Pac-12 is 1, and then it's everybody else. Like, if you actually break it down, the non-conference numbers against like Power 5 competition, the Pac-12 was the only one that really did well. Everybody else, if you kind of look at it, was all in the same spot. But the SEC, because it's the SEC, of course, was going to receive the most attention for not doing well. And so you kind of looked at it from that standpoint. The SEC was, I would argue, was the most disappointing. But at the same time, it's not like the Big Ten helped itself in non-conference play that much.
No.
You know what I mean? It's not like we saw, Ohio State had a nice win on the road at Notre Dame, but Michigan obviously like not playing anybody. Penn State not really playing anybody. I guess if you want to count West Virginia, all right, fine. I'm not holding my breath on James Franklin winning a big-time game on the road. But yeah, I still look at this and I go, everybody's kind of in the same spot. There's not really a ton of separation. The Pac-12 has set itself up the best it has, but the 9-game conference schedule with them, you just always kind of wonder, are they going to cannibalize themselves? I picked Washington to go to the playoff this year. If we want to talk about best takes, that was like one of the things I had.
That was the next question.
Oh, there we go. So I'll just pat myself on the back for that one. But I do feel like it's kind of the Pac-12 and then everybody else. If you're just talking about conference supremacy, I would probably give them the edge right now.
It's so weird too, because like everyone keeps talking about how bad the SEC or the quarterback play is in the SEC, and like it's not historically bad by any means at all. But top to bottom, it's not been like great, especially as in comparison to like recent years. But like, I mean, you and I were still doing the pod when it was like Jared Garantano was a top 3 quarterback in my
top
book.
3. Some would say a top 3 quarterback in the SEC. I personally wouldn't say that. I would. I was more of a Malik Willis guy back in the day, but Jared Garantano in the top 3 was a popular take that gained a lot of traction.
It was something, that's for sure. Anytime I start feeling myself and getting a little confident, I try to remind myself of that take. But okay, so that was my next question though, because like obviously midseason you can look back at some of the stuff, and it's so difficult before the season starts what we think we know, and like just absolute truths, right? Georgia gonna three-peat, like Bama's gonna the offensive line at Bama's gonna be, I don't know, above average even. Pepper says hello.
What up, Pepper?
But that being said, it's like what were you most right about, and what were you also most wrong about?
I think I was most right about LSU losing the 2 games that it did in September. That was one thing that I was banging the drum saying, look, the offense is great. I'm excited to see what they can do. But this Harold Perkins experiment, the way that the schedule sets up, it's not going to benefit them with the weakness that they have in the secondary. And that played out in a more extreme way than I expected. I didn't think that they were going to allow 700 yards of offense at Ole Miss. But when I said that in the preseason that they were going to lose against Florida State and they were going to lose at Ole Miss, I took a lot of heat for that, being like, how could you doubt this team? LSU has playoff upside. And I was like, I think they're a 9-3 team. I think they're really good. I just think they have a weakness that we're kind of overlooking. So that was a good one. Saying the Joe Milton hype was way overblown. I guess I was right on that. I thought it was a joke that he was preseason all SEC, a guy who's lost his starting job twice, but that was more about the circumstances around him than the player that he was or that he had proven to be so far. And then, gosh, where do we want to start with where I was wrong? I have so many wrong takes. I'm like, I'll name a couple here, and then when I come up with one, I'll just like I'll just like bring it up randomly. Devin Leary finishing as an all SEC quarterback.
Ooh, I was on that train.
Way wrong on that one. South Carolina finishing second in the East. Way wrong on that one. Mississippi State winning 8 games. Way wrong on that one. Bobby Petrino as a Broyles Award finalist. It hasn't been a disaster offensively with what A&M's done, but not going to be right on that one.
You don't have to keep throwing yourself under the bus.
No, that's fun. Let's do it. What else we got? I had, what did I say? I said KJ Jefferson was going to be at one of the top 5 NFL quarterback prospects by season's end.
That sucks. That one sucks because like I just hate the way his season's like played out. I mean, like, so I actually got a phone call from both of our listeners this week, and she was actually telling me how right you were about the Joe Milton thing. And it sounds like we were in total agreement on that. I just didn't understand the hype around the fact that just because he throws the ball far, all of a sudden he's going to be a great quarterback. It's going to translate. And then the other thing too, I still don't think I'm completely off base here. I still think he's going to be a high draft pick. I think that once enough time has passed and people stop watching tape, like they should be doing, NFL scouts are going to see him throw a ball and hit the ceiling like Anthony Richardson.
Yep.
And then like throw all the money at him.
And here's the awkward thing too. Like if let's just say hypothetically, and I'm not predicting this result, but if they lose and it's because of Joe Milton at Alabama,
Yeah.
The chance for Nico Iamaleava, crushing that pronunciation.
Nice.
No big
it's
deal.
Actually Devonta.
I had to listen to Joe Test say Iamaleava in the opener, and I was just like, Joe, come on, man, we're better. You're better than this. Right. You're a pro. It's in the bio. It's right there. You can find the pronunciation guide. But I think the chance for him will be significantly louder because once you suffer that second loss, and that's the issue for Josh Heupel, is you kind of want to see you want to get. He needs to start getting guys in the NFL at the quarterback position who are in the NFL in getting NFL paychecks, because that's kind of the knock against him of, well, why isn't he considered one of the 2 or 3 best offensive minds in the sport? And I think you could make a really good case. 5 consecutive top 8 offenses probably won't get that this year. But if you bench that guy, it's a different story. And if you turn to a true freshman, that's a tough sell. I don't know how many guys sat for like the final month of their career and then went to the NFL draft and then I became a mid-round pick or something like that. So that's the other thing you kind of got away. And I think Florida weighed some of that with Anthony Richardson last year and the way that played out. So yeah, it's a tricky thing to have to navigate. But I'm out on Joe Milton. I'm just out.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. It is gonna be an interesting situation. I got asked today if he would finish the season as a starter, like you were talking about. I think that Heupel will be too loyal to him.
I agree.
And it's just because I don't know what the upside is by starting a true freshman that hasn't played a game against Bama, Georgia, Kentucky, and those people on the schedule.
I think what he could do, and this could be a call that I had in the preseason that would actually be right, is I think Nico could start the UConn game.
Oh, okay.
That would be an interesting way to kind of be like, all right, let's give the fans what they want, and also not bench a guy that, let's be honest, I mean, Josh Heupel was calling Joe Milton back when he was the OC at Mizzou. Yeah. He was saying, hey, do you see what I'm doing with Drew Lock? You can come do that at Mizzou. Back when he was in high school, you call him after every high school game. He wants to see this through. He really does. The problem is, I just don't think it's there. And like you kind of at this point are pot committed.
Yeah, I completely agree. All right. One more question, then we'll get to 2-minute drill. I was gonna say we should I'll tell you what I was most right and wrong about. I think I was most right about I think I said USC was probably the 3rd best team in the Pac-12.
Like that.
Thought they were tremendously overrated. LSU, probably where I was right and wrong, because I was not sold on LSU just because the offense was going to return all these, and I want to see them stack years, which we haven't seen them do in a while. But I didn't think Jaden Daniels was going to be able to replicate the season he had a year ago. 28 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. That's tough to do in general. And we're at the halfway point, and he's already surpassed almost all those numbers. And it's been awesome to watch. Brian, now I'm drawing a blank on the name. Brian Thomas. I think that he has made that kid a star. He's a very talented receiver, right? But Jaden Daniels has turned him into an absolute star. Malik Neighbors has been awesome. That whole offense is incredible.
Brian Thomas was the guy that coming into this year, I said, if Jaden Daniels has turned the corner, if he is this guy that isn't just locked in on his first read and he's going to tuck it and run, if he is trusting that offense, Brian Thomas is going to be the guy that's going to benefit the most. Now, Malik Neighbors has had himself an All-American season. He's leading the country in receiving. He is ridiculous. I love watching him. But Brian Thomas was the guy who you're like, okay, well, he's not going to get separation in the same way that Malik Neighbors probably will. You're not going to look at what he's doing pre-snap and say, oh, I've got Malik Neighbors in the slot on a linebacker or on a safety that can't cover him. I'm going to attack that all day. You kind of had to look at Brian Thomas as more of okay, I need to just trust that guy in certain spots. Maybe he's my second read. I'm going to go let him make a play. And Jaden Daniels has done that so much more. And I remember Ed Ogeron saying coming into the 2021 season, that was hey, this guy's the next great LSU receiver. And what he has turned into has been so fun to watch. Another thing you were right about, you had Texas beating Bama in the preseason. Did you not?
That was the easiest call. Not only was that, hold on, not only was I spot on about that, I said they were going to lose by 10 plus points, and I all the reasons were there. I'm not happy I was that right about it, but it was. I guess I did nail that one.
Emotional hedging, yeah.
That's not what that one was. I swear. Okay, no. So last one before we get into 2-minute drill. If you had a chance to go back and redo, I don't know what your preseason picks were for the playoff, but as of today, give me that, or choose your own adventure, or one bold take for the second half of the year.
I'd stick with 3 of my 4. I had Georgia, Ohio State, Washington, Clemson. I'd swap out Clemson for Florida State. I think, did I have Florida State ranked ahead of Clemson in the preseason? If I didn't, I had them like one spot behind, and I should have. I should have just pulled the trigger on Florida State. And then I saw him week 1 in person. I was like, Connor, you're the biggest idiot in the world. Why did you fall for the Garrett Riley hype? Why did you tell yourself that Will Shipley was going to be a Heisman candidate? Like, why did you do these things to yourself? You're so stupid.
I would have talked you out of that one.
I like
white running backs going to go to New York. Actually, that was dumb because 2 of them probably should have won.
Chris McCaffrey, Toby Gerhardt. I don't know. We get it.
I walked into that one.
But yeah, I would probably still stay with my original 3, and then I would just put in, gosh, you know what? I think I'd put in Oklahoma instead of Florida State. I think I would. I love what Oklahoma's done. I thought that was my lock of the week against Texas. And I was a year wrong on the play. I had them going to the playoff last year.
Yeah.
And they've done everything that I thought they would do last year. They've done it this year instead. It's why you should write off year 1 coaches, because what they've done in year 2 with Brent Venables, man, they've been really fun to watch.
Yeah. Like in every single phase of the game too. I'll give you, instead of my playoff picks, I'll give you a bold take. I think LSU wins the SEC. I don't think Bama's offense can keep up with them, even if Bama does beat Tennessee this weekend. And I don't think Georgia's good enough to hang with them for 60 minutes, because like that's one thing about Georgia is they're really good, but they aren't consistent enough, I feel like, through 60 minutes like we've seen in the past. But also, every time we think that about Georgia halfway through the season, once the lights shine brightest, that's when they're at their best anyway. So, all right, let's get into 2-minute drill. Haven't done this in a while. The drill. I didn't like that. We'll put 2 minutes on the clock. Are you ready?
Give me. All right, now I'm ready.
All right. Question number 1. What are you more tired of, Deion Sanders or Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce?
I'm not tired. I'm not really tired of either. Is that bad? I thought you were going to say Deion or McAfee, which I was asking.
I'm not touching McAfee because I love him.
All right. I'll say I'm more tired of the people who hate on T Swift and Travis Kelce. So I guess I'm more tired of that, but I'm like a borderline Swiftie. So I don't really, I'm probably not your guy for a definitive take on that.
Listen, I've seen her twice. She's fantastic. All right. Number 2, also the Pat McAfee thing, he's fine. But when people like Desmond start doing big Phoenix energy and trying to be like, that makes it way worse. Anyway, number 2, I already asked this question, so we can move right past it. Number 3, whose name is hard to pronounce? Michael Penix.
Michael Penix.
Or spell Mark D'Antonio.
DANTONIO. Mark D'Antonio.
You missed the apostrophe, so that's gonna cost
There's no apostrophe. As a guy who has an apostrophe in his last name, let me tell you, I know the apostrophe, guys. Mike D'Antoni has an apostrophe because he's Italian.
This is why I didn't share the doc with you.
Yeah, that's fair.
And look at me, I actually made a doc.
How about
all grown up?
Look at that.
All right, number 4, next bucket list interview for you on the SDS pod.
Oh, that's good. I think a lot of people like, and you get this question all the time too. People would think like, oh, it'd be great to have Saban or great to have Kirby. Like, no, I don't. The one I've been chasing for a while is Spurrier.
I was going to say, yeah.
Spurrier is the one that I've been trying. Like, I've tried to go through a few different people to set that up, and like still kind of working on that. That is currently my white whale for sure. Yeah.
You talking about doing a book about that too.
That project that hit the back burner in a hurry. The source list is still there, the very beginnings of it, but I got to do that before he turns 80.
Oh, geez. Number 5, one fond or favorite memory from when we hosted the SDS pod.
Oh, live show before the SEC championship, 2019, College Football Hall of Fame. Shout out College Football Hall of Fame. Love the people there. That was such a cool night. Like, we stayed out until Little Peel Behind the Onion. We stayed out until like 3 or 4 that night with listeners, and just it wasn't like, this like drunken stumbling from bar to bar. It was just like one of those cool nights where I think so rarely in this profession do we really get to kind of soak it in that people give a crap about what we have to say. And that was one of those cool nights where we can kind of just like sit back and just enjoy, like have a really cool product, have people that come out that want to, and hear what we have to say and really enjoy that. That whole weekend was fun. Now, waking up on like 3 hours of sleep and having to write a Lane Kiffin column, The next day was not as fun, but everything that went into that. Yeah.
All right. Number 6. What's a show you binged this offseason?
Ooh.
I feel like you're not a big binge TV guy.
I am. That's incorrect. God, do I say something that's embarrassing, or do I say something that's actually?
Yes.
The Summer I Turned Pretty was one that we binged.
I almost started it, but I didn't get to it.
Just don't. It'll make you mad. That was not my first choice. Rewatched New Girl for the 3rd time. New Girl's a great show. That's a great comedy.
I don't understand how that's not syndicated.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. It's got more than enough episodes. Should be syndicated. Maybe Fox has some sort of weird stranglehold on that. I don't know how that works, but was starting. What else we got? Love is Blind. I'm in the midst of the new season. No spoilers, please. What else we got? Obviously, Great British Baking Show. That's a given. Yeah, I mean there are a few like that I'm probably forgetting right now, but like especially on paternity leave, we were like kind of in binge city. It was New Girl. That was the show of choice for a hot minute. We need to get a new show though. Like I've been telling Lauren that for a bit now. I was like, we need to kind of like broaden our horizons just a touch, like not a crazy amount.
Yeah.
The Summer I Turned Pretty was not the direction I was hoping we would go in, but whatever.
Okay, we're in minute 11 of 2-minute drill. We got 3 more questions for you. We'll get you out of here. Top 3 artists on your Spotify right now. I've come around on John Party.
Look at that.
He's not bad. He's not bad. I'll take Wallen, but he's not bad.
Morgan Wallen has been so hit or miss the last 2 years. It's been wildly disappointing. He puts out too many songs. His music is saturated.
7-song album? Like, what are you doing?
It's like, stop messing around with hip hop beats and just stick to what you do best. But whatever. I digress. The 2 obvious ones, John Party, Chris Stapleton. I've been getting into a lot of Zach Bryan lately.
Yeah.
Had a nice long run today. It was just like pretty much all Zach Bryan. So that's probably my top 3 right now. And then Eric Church, that's a given, but like, yeah, those would be my 3 or 4.
I've never been big into Eric Church. I've been really big into Zach Bryan though. Okay, let's see here. 2 more. One thing, team or player we aren't talking enough about.
Mizzou. Yeah. Also, Mizzou's the obvious one. Yeah.
I like that. Go-to cheat meal.
Oh.
It's going to be something with peanut butter, I feel like.
No, I've actually laid off that for a bit. Mexican food. Oh, yeah. We got a place, El Potro, by us. Enchiladas rancheras. I'm trying to improve my Spanish for daughter's daycare.
Summer I Turned Pretty and learn, get a Babbel or something like that.
Oh, there we go. It's a good idea. I actually talked about doing something like that. That would actually make a lot of sense.
I like it. Last question, my man. I appreciate you coming on here. Senior national columnist, tremendous success, still in phenomenal shape, great husband, good friend, all the things. How does it feel to be a dad?
Man, I appreciate you saying that. It feels great. It feels great. Every day is a battle. And even with a kid that's been so good to us. I mean, she sleeps through the night. She smiles constantly. It's so easy to get her to laugh. You see like a new side of your spouse that comes out that you just like, that's like really mushy thing to say. Like you just, you see these things in your partner that you're just like, man, like this experience is incredible. It's great. I absolutely love it. There are points in which I think to myself, like, oh my God, like I just signed up for a life of this. She's not just going to stay that size forever. Right. The running joke in our household is like, how long will it take for her to be taller than me?
Why do you always do this?
Marler, she is in the 92nd percentile of height already. She is growing like a tree.
She's like 4 months old, right?
She is already like showing signs
that she's 12 feet tall.
Look, I'm not going to rule it out. I think she's going to be 6 feet tall. Like I truly think that. She got Lauren's height. So far, Lauren's brain, she's really cerebral. So yeah, we're very fortunate, doing well. Sleep it could be a whole lot worse. I'm very grateful for that. Hopefully we don't get any sort of teething regression that's coming up in the near future, but it's great, man. It's everything everybody says it is.
That's awesome, man. I've also I'm going to out myself here. I've been sending Lauren Venmo money just so she'll tell the baby repeatedly, Phoenix, and that'll be her first word, just to drive you crazy. All right, my man. I know you got to go. I'm sorry we're late. I really enjoyed it. I would say we can plug the pod, but we do it every week anyway. But tell everyone where they can find you, and we'll do it again soon.
Yeah, appreciate that. We got plugs on each other's pods, so people are probably like, "Hey, like what am I listening to right now?" Like they're just confused. They're in a little SDS warp.
Messed everyone up.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly fine. Saturday Down South podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify. We're on YouTube as well. You can watch all of our episodes if you want to see me scratch my nose or something like a million times. I've been battling the daycare sniffles for the last 7-8 weeks. So yeah, we're everywhere that you can get this podcast. That's where you can get ours as well.
Love it, dude. I appreciate it. I know you got to run. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, man.